wanting to try out having video work instructions for a while, and this is the first one that we're doing as a bit of a trial. So what I wanted to talk about today was the Volkswagen oiling, the new dip method. And it is only for Volkswagen only, so we don't use it for D258 or anything like that. And it's really twofold reason why we decided to try to come up with something new. And the first reason is when we were sharpening all of the pierce dies at a pretty high frequency, our tool shop suggested that we should try to get oil on actually both sides of the bracket. And that would transfer to both the punches that are in the top of the die and the bushings that are in the bottom of the die. And when you think of it, we already do this sort of thing on the big presses that stamp the core plates. So it all makes sense. The second reason was we had some people who were working at the back of the furnace who found it a little tight for time, and we thought that anything we could do to take away a little bit of time would be an aid to them. So if you do the dip, it does take away a couple of seconds from the spray technique. Now, the question everybody's been asking is it mandatory? No, it's not mandatory. If you're a spray person, you can remain a spray person. If you want to do the dip, you can do the dip. So if you do the spray, the first thing you should do is come along, and there's now a top tray lid, and you just close that tray lid so that the fumes off of the liquid aren't continuously coming up at you, and you would use your spray technique the same way that is written up in the Volkswagen job instructions, which is every 3 cycles you want to spray the punches and the brackets of the part. The dip method, it's a little bit different. First thing you want to do is open up the tray so that you have access to the liquid. And on the very first yoke coming out of the furnace, that is the only time that we must dip both ends of the core. So the straight fitting end and the angled fitting end, you would take your first yoke apart, put the two parts together, dip the straight end, and when you turn around to dip the angled fitting, QC would suggest that we don't dip in the fittings. So just place the fittings on the outside of the wall and dip. Now a lot of people have been complaining that when they spin these things around there's excess oil, and I think if they've been doing it on every single yoke out of the furnace, then there may be too much oil accumulating. But we only do it on the very first yoke. The second yoke, you only choose one side, dip it, and run it. The next yoke out, you would choose the other side, dip it, and run it. So it's every yoke is alternating the end that you would do. One of the critical things we have to look for is when we dip in, the level of the oil has to come up over where the hole will be, obviously, or else it won't be doing any good. So you have to keep the level so that it goes past the hole. And I think that's all I have to say about the new dip technique and the old spray technique. Thank you.